A lot of misinformation out there about all things Social Security. Their Doge Social Security changed the policy. You have to go down there. You don't have to go down there. You can do it online. You can't do it online. You can do it on the phone. You can't do it online. Are checks going to come? Are they not going to come in April, May? What's going on? So we're going to go through all of this. There's a lot of social media flack out there. There's a lot of misinformation, misunderstanding the benefits, misunderstanding exactly what Doge says kind of one day and then changes their mind the next day. So we'll get into all of that. This is also a live Q&A. And Elizabeth, let's jump into a question here real quick, and I'll tie this into what needs to be done for everybody to make sure, you don't have any issues. You don't waste your time going down to the local Social Security office if you don't have to. Elizabeth might have to go down to the local Social Security office. Okay, so her question is, thank you for helping us. You're welcome. My question is for survivor benefits. Does someone who never paid into Social Security, FICA taxes, able to apply for a deceased spouse's Social Security benefits? Elizabeth, yes, 100%. You do not have to be insured for Social Security to apply for survivor benefits, for spouse benefits, for divorced spouse benefits, for independently entitled divorced spouse benefits, whatever it is. You do not have to be insured yourself, never have to pay into Social Security, FICA tax, or anything like that. No issues whatsoever. You can apply for survivor benefits. You have to be 60 years old. If it's a divorce type situation, you had to be married to the person for 10 years or longer. If you were married when they passed away, it's not 10 years. A lot of people miss this and they're losing money out there, unfortunately. So please press like and subscribe and share and all that kind of good stuff so people get this information. You have to be married at least 9 months. There's a couple exceptions if it was an accident or they were active duty military. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and file, you're 60 years old, you do have the earnings limitations. You have to stay under the annual earnings limit. That's the $23,400. If you're working, making over that, then Social Security is going to hold back $1 for every $2 you go over up until you hit your full retirement age. Okay, so for you, the new policy and everything, so this is for people that want to file for survivor benefits. I think this is one of the policies that Doge is going to change. So watch for a change. I'm going to keep up on all the changes and keep you all abreast of everything. But this is one of the things I think they're going to change. Okay, number one, Elizabeth, if you're going to file for survivor benefits, you can't do that online. There's not an online system yet to file for that. You can file for retirement benefits, spouse benefits, living spouse benefits. You can file for Medicare. And they just rolled out SSI, Supplemental Security Income, the welfare-based program. They were working on that for 15 years or something. My office tested that several times. And yeah, that was a long time process. But anyway, you can't do that online. So you have to call your local office, call the 800 number, schedule an appointment. And then you can do the actual claim over the phone. But right now, as of 3:03 p.m. West Coast time, April 4th, you're going to have to go down to the local Social Security office and prove your ID. And that's the new policy that just started. It was supposed to start April 1st, but they backed it up until April 14th. But if you go ahead and schedule an appointment, call up right now and schedule the appointment, a phone appointment, or in-office appointment. Most offices aren't doing in-office appointments, but go ahead and schedule an appointment. And if it's probably going to take you a month or two, but do it immediately because that protects you. If you don't call them until next month and you're entitled to benefits this month, you've just lost a month. If you don't call them until 2 months from now, you just lost 2 months. So a lot of people are missing money because they say, well, they call Social Security and they're on the phone for 3 hours and they can't wait anymore. So they just hang up and then they call next month and they lost a month of benefits. Well, not the people that watch my channel, because I tell you the trick. Take a picture, a screenshot, take your phone bill, whatever the case may be. When you do have your appointment a month or two later, then tell them, hey, buddy, I understand Social Security employees are, it's not their fault. They don't have any staff. It's Congress's fault. It's Doge's fault for firing everybody, or reallocating resources to the private sector, I guess. Anyway, old Marine Corps term. But I called you last month. I called you 2 months ago and nobody picked up the phone. And the the Title II claim specialist, which the person that will be helping you is called a Title II claim specialist. And how do I know that? Because I was a Title II claim specialist when I worked at Social Security. So, and you just tell them, hey, I tried to call you all a month ago, 2 months ago, and I wasn't able to get in. And that will establish a protective filing, Elizabeth, so you don't lose benefits. In terms of proof, you will need, if it's a divorce type situation, you'll need your marriage certificate and divorce decree to prove the 10-year marriage. You don't need the death certificate. If the person passed away in the United States, then there's not an issue with that. And then go ahead and file for those benefits. And again, it doesn't matter whether you are insured for benefits on your own record. That's not an issue. Okay, so that's the surviving spouse benefits. You do have to go down to the local Social Security office for a new claim. If you are currently receiving benefits, don't care what kind of benefits, Medicare, disabled widows benefits, disability, retirement benefits, or anything like that, currently receiving a check, you don't have to do anything except I would definitely go into your SSA.gov, the mysocialsecurity.gov, and print off everything you can get. Print off the statements, which include your earnings record, your PIA, that's your primary insurance amount, your benefit at your full retirement age. I would print off everything that exists on your file in Social Security, because they are talking about updating the system, and they are talking about updating it in a matter of weeks or months. And Social Security has one of the most complex computer systems in the world. It's based on 1970s technology. Everybody seems to know that now. Finally, Social Security has been requesting Congress, please, we need to update our computer system. And Congress for decades has said, no, you're good. We're not going to give you any money to do that. So Social Security has been, begging to update their computer system for decades, and Congress always says no. Your politicians always say no. And guess what? Here's where we're at today. And so now it's going to be updated. But when Social Security was going to do it, they said, hey, in order to do this right, to make sure we don't lose anybody's records, it's going to take a good 5 years. And I don't care if AI and stuff, the Doge doesn't understand how complicated it is. You've got 1970s, 1980s technology, and then Social Security, because they haven't been provided resources by Congress, have just been putting lipstick on that pig for decades. And then there's this application and that application. There's hundreds of applications that go on the infrastructure of COBOL from the 1970s. So if you go in there and you pull one little thread, it's like a sweater, you pull one little thread and, then the sweater's ruined. I don't think they know that. Hopefully they do, but just to be on the safe, if you have 100% faith in them, then you're good. I wouldn't worry about anything. But if you've got a modicum of kind of, just in case, I would definitely go in there and, print everything. And that way, if something does go missing, you can, recreate your record. And this has happened in Japan. They were switching from one system to another, and they lost like 50 million records. And it took them, about 10 years to recreate everything. The prime minister lost his job over it and everything. Yeah, so it does happen, unfortunately. All right, so if you're currently receiving benefits, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go down to the local Social Security office and ID yourself and prove that you're still out there alive and kicking or anything like that. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Tell everybody share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff, so this information goes out there. All right, so if you need to change your direct deposit, that is one change that's taken effect. If you can do everything online, change your direct deposit online, then you're good. Just go ahead and change it online. If you're not able to, then you will have to go down to the local Social Security office to change your direct deposit. And the president passed that they're going to no longer send out checks, paper checks, towards the end of the year. Not sure how that's going to work. So it's either get direct deposit. Some people can't get a bank account. So Social Security has what's called a Direct Express. And so it's like a debit card you can put your Social Security money on. So if you're getting a paper check, you definitely need to call Social Security and make other arrangements, because those are supposedly going away here pretty soon. Okay. All right. So if you're filing a new claim, just like Elizabeth filing for the new survivor and spouse benefits, if you're filing a new claim, and they changed that as well. It was, if you're going to file a disability claim or SSI, supplemental security income, you have to go down to the local office after you do the phone call. They changed that, And they said, okay, you don't have to do that. So right now, again, as of 3:10 p.m. West Coast time, April 4th, the only time you have to go down to the local office is, again, direct deposit, or if you're filing a claim over the phone and you've taken the claim on the phone and it's a retirement-based claim. And what's a retirement-based claim? It's regular retirement benefits on your record, a spouse benefit, a divorced spouse benefit, independently entitled divorced spouse benefit. So those type of claims, you can do it on the phone, call, schedule an appointment on the phone, take the claim over the phone with the Social Security employee, and then they will tell you at that time. Well, actually, the survivor benefits too. I forgot to add the survivor benefits, but I think that one's going to change if they do the right thing. So, super long story short, if you have a phone appointment, if you can do everything online, do it online. You don't have to go down to any office. If you can't, call, schedule an appointment, do a phone interview, and they will tell you at that particular time if it's, if you're about to have a Social Security interview for your retirement or spouse benefit claim at 3:15 p.m. on April 4th, and the policy has changed, the Social Security employee will tell you during the claims process. They'll say, okay, hey, here's how much you're going to get. Okay, I need one last thing to adjudicate to process your claim. I need you to come down to the local Social Security office. And they will tell you at that specific time whether the policy has changed. So just be on the lookout for that. Okay, so everybody else, please, there's too much fear mongering out there about everybody has to go down to the Social Security office. And I've already heard reports of, the Social Security office is being inundated with people, oh, my check is going to stop unless I come down here. No, that's not a fact. There is one thing that, again, the computer system, I'm kind of very hesitant about them changing the computer system so quickly. If it works perfectly, then it works perfectly. Social Security needed the update. But that seems too quick for me. Another thing is DOGE recently changed the overpayment policy. And this affects everybody. If you have an overpayment, whether it's your fault or not, someone was working under your number, or someone, Social Security, put the wrong number in, or your employer put the wrong number in, or whatever the case may be, and you got an overpayment for no fault of your own, unaware you got an overpayment, then your check is going to be withheld 100%. And that's the new policy. It used to be the old policy, but it's now the new old policy. And that was okay when it was the old policy because offices had a modicum of staff to help you out. But now, the staff has been cut so much. Social Security has been dealing with staffing issues for a long time. Social Security is at a 50-year low in terms of staffing. And now they're at a 90-year low in terms of staffing. But if you get a overpayment for whatever reason, the new policy is they're going to withhold 100% of your check. And then you're going to have to go down to the local Social Security office, and hopefully it's open, and hopefully there's staff there to help you, and hopefully they can, restart your benefits. So be on the lookout for that. If you're about to get paid here pretty soon, make sure you check, give it a few days. Direct deposit sometimes on the weekend, it takes a few days or whatever the case may be. Check to make sure your check is in there. And if it's not, you definitely need to take action immediately, if not sooner, okay, to get those benefits restarted. All right, let's see here. Let me just go ahead and jump into questions. And I know a lot of these questions are going to be based on the new policy. Remember, this question and answer is sponsored by Chapter Medicare. So if you need help with all things Medicare, you're about to turn 65, you're moving, whatever the case may be, you can reach out to them. Be nice. After the stock market crash today, I could use some good news. All right. The good news is be nice is you're nice. So you're being nice. Yes. So if you're currently receiving Social Security benefits, don't worry about it. You don't have to go down to the local office. If, they say you're overpaid for whatever strange reason, then I've talked about that. Come back here and I'll tell you how to address it to make sure you get your check. Well, I'll tell you right now, if anybody gets an overpayment like that and their check stops and it's a dire need situation, the policy is, until they change it, if it's a dire need situation, if you need to pay your rent, if you're going to be evicted, you need to pay your mortgage, your electricity is going to be shut off. If none of that happens, then I would reach out to your politician before you go down to the local Social Security office And you can go onto their website, and on congressional websites, they all have a little button there where it says, I need help with a federal agency. You click that little button, fill it out, push the button, submit, and now it's a congressional. A congressional has high priority at Social Security. And so when you walk into the local Social Security office, or you attempt to walk in, and the guard, who is not a Social Security employee, they don't know policy, don't ask them questions. They're just there for the protection of you and the employees and all that. They're federal protective services. And just tell them, this is a congressional issue. And that's like a free pass, right, to get into the office. And it technically is a congressional issue because you just made it a congressional issue. So you tell them it's a congressional issue, and they'll let you in and they'll address your issue. Or you can call the local, your local TV station or something like that, and tell them about, hey, I just got my check stopped and I'm going to be evicted, or I can't, I need my money. You call them, and now it's a PR issue, and you've got kind of a free pass into there. So yeah, I'm sure people are not going to be happy I give you all the inside scoop, but that's the great thing about subscribing to the channel, right? Gladrin, I'm 58 and on SSDI. My husband is retiring next year at 65. Will I be able to collect spousal benefits in addition to my SSDI? Yes, you will, potentially. It depends on your numbers in terms of how much you were receiving from SSDI. So it's based on your PIA, which is your primary insurance amount. That's because you're on SSDI. That's how much your check is, unless you're receiving Medicare or something. But your basic check, and then it's based on your husband's PIA, not how much he's going to receive at 65, because he's going to be reduced at 65. His PIA is the benefit amount at his full retirement age, if he waited till his full retirement age. If your PIA is less than half of his PIA, primary insurance amount, then yes, you are eligible for the difference. So the easiest way to do it is when he goes ahead and files at 65, then have you be on the phone there or whatever at the same time, and they will check to see if you're entitled to any benefits on his record. And if you are, then they will file a claim. You have to file a claim. And this does not stop your SSDI. This does not stop your disability. That's what a lot of people mistake or mistaken. You will continue to get your SSDI, but if you're entitled to any spouse benefits above that, it'll just be above that. One offsets the other, but you will still get SSDI underneath, and then you get spouse benefits on top of that. And because you're receiving SSDI, so some people think, well, I don't want to do that because then I will be getting spouse benefits. Remember, you have to be 62. So I think, you have to be 62 because you're 58. Yeah. So you have to be 62, whether he's 65 or not. You have to be 62 to get spouse benefits. But your disability will continue. And because your disability continues, then your Medicare will continue as well. So I didn't do the calculations, the ages right there. So you are super, super young. So there's that. Yeah. So once you turn 62, he's already on benefits. Then you call up and get your extra money. And it's a beautiful thing. Will be 70. Hey, Gene, what's up? Will be 70 in October. Receive survivor benefits on deceased ex-spouse's account. Want to switch to mine at 70. Good job. Can I do that online, or do I have to go into the local office? How far in advance do I start? You can do that online because you're just looking at a retirement claim on your own record. So you're doing the right thing. Sounds like you strategized perfectly. So what she's talking about is for survivor benefits, it's called deemed filing. There are no deemed filing rules for survivor benefits. What does that mean? Is that when you're eligible for survivor benefits, surviving spouse benefits, widower benefits, same thing. When you're entitled to those benefits, you do not have to file for benefits on your own record first. And this is what Jeannie did, is she did not file for benefits on her own record. She just let that benefit increase. And now it's going to be maxed out at 70 years old. So she's going to switch from survivor benefits to benefits on her own record. So good job there. And you can do that online. Because it's going to be, you might have to go to a local office depending on what the regulations, the policy is at that particular time. It changes on a daily basis, but you can do it online, and I would do it about 2 or 3 months before you turn 70. So perfect. You did everything correctly. What happens when an adult disabled child reaches 65? Does anything change with their disability? No, nothing at all, Elise. One thing that anybody on disability, once you turn 65, there is something needed to check out, and that's Medicare. So in most states, most people under the age of 65 that have Medicare have it because they're on disability. You have to be on disability for 2 years to get Medicare. So SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. And in most states, all you can get is a Medicare Advantage plan. And those are state regulations. So some states you can get a Medicare supplement, a Plan N or Plan G. Those are the ones I recommend. But in most states, you can't. All you can get is Medicare Advantage plan. But when you turn 65, you can get it whatever you want. So at least nothing happens when the disabled adult child reaches 65, unless they want to check to see if maybe a Medicare supplement plan is better for them. No networks, no prior authorizations. There is a monthly premium for those. So check it out. You can call Chapter there, and they can review what the difference between an N and a G and how much it is, and the benefits, and everything, and difference between that and Medicare Advantage. And if it's not right for you, then at least you checked it out. The only other thing that will happen a couple of years after that is anybody on disability, once they hit their full retirement age, they're no longer on disability anymore. Your disability benefits switch from being taken out of the Social Security Disability Trust Fund, and they start taking them out of the Social Security Retirement Trust Fund. So for you, most people don't even know the switch. The check stays the same. The direct deposit, stays the same. The date you get it stays the same. The only difference is no more CDRs, those continuing disability reviews, and there's no more work limitations, because you're essentially receiving retirement benefits after, you're essentially retirement benefits at your full retirement age. So, incurably curious. You said that you need to provide your original birth, marriage, divorce certs when applying for Social Security. If these aren't available, will they take certified records from Vital Check? Okay for passports. Okay, so yeah, the original. So people think when Social Security says we need original, that means like if you were born in 1964, you need the one from 1964. No, an original is anything from the issuing agency. So if you were born in Detroit and you lost your birth certificate, you contact the city of Detroit and they send you your birth certificate, that's the original. And same thing with marriage and divorce. And it's usually, it has a seal. So if you get that and then go down and get a notarized copy of it, that means nothing to Social Security. They need to see the original. And Vital Check, yeah, I think that's the one that, gives you the one from the issuing agency. So that's the trick. Okay for passports. To prove your age, you cannot use your passport, because, immigration really doesn't focus too much on people's age. They just focus on whether you're a citizen or not. So sometimes passports have the incorrect date of birth Social Security has found. So they always need the original birth certificate. Lisa, what paperwork and or information should we have ready when setting up a Social Security online account? Nothing. Yeah, just your memory. Because when you set up an online account, they have, they ask you those challenge questions, and now the part of the new system is, you probably, I'd change that. You'll probably need your ID, driver's license or something, because on the new system, you kind of schedule an appointment, and then there's someone, they do kind of a teleconference with you, and you put your ID up on your forehead so they can look at your ID in your face, and then they confirm you that way. So, yes. Let's see. I am a new applicant and supposed to get in April. When can I expect it? So, okay, so you're a new applicant. So you've already filed, you've already done everything, and you're supposed to get your check in April. Then, yeah, if everything goes right and they actually have staff in your local office to process that claim, then you should be good. I just got a letter from Social Security last night stating that I got to have a phone call because they have to verify everybody or something, but that's a new thing that I'm permanently disabled. So a letter, make sure it actually comes from Social Security, and make sure the phone number looks legit. That it actually goes to Social Security. Make sure this is a legit letter. But yeah, if you're permanently disabled, Social Security as part of their kind of protecting the trust fund, they reach out to people that are disabled and maybe do a continuing disability review or work history or work review. It's all there's medical CDRs and work CDRs, the continuing disability review. It's based on work or your disability. So maybe something popped up that they saw that, you'd made some money or something and they want to call and check. But number one, yeah, make sure that's not some type of scam. You can, just to be on the safe side, call the 800 number or your local office before then and say, hey, I got this letter, and, call them. Mark, age 65, took retirement Social Security on February 28th. If I go back to work, will my early low years be automatically knocked out and increase my monthly amount? Yes. If that is your actual, if it is a new high 35. So if you're 63, 64, 65, 75, 85, 95, and you continue to work and pay into Social Security, then once you play with your friends at the IRS and you do all your taxes and all that kind of good stuff, Social Security looks at that automatically and says, okay, Mark worked last year and this is how much his earnings are, and hey, that's one of his high 35 years. So they knock out the low one, stick in the new one, recalculate, and give you some extra money. And that if it takes them 2, 3, 4, 6 months to do those calculations, then they will give you the back pay to January, so you won't lose anything. So yep, and that's 100% automatic. You don't have to do anything. So Ron, I'm sorry, I've got tons of questions, so I just push whatever button I see pop up next. So I don't read these questions and before I pop them up, and sometimes I regret it, but most times, yeah, y'all are awesome. Ron, my wife just got off the phone with her Social Security representative. She was told they would not update her payment if she continued to work and made more than her bottom 35 year. Is that true? That not update her payment if she continued to work and made more than the bottom. No, no, that's not true. It's automatic. So yeah, anytime you pay in more into Social Security, again, if that's one of your high 35 years, then yep, it's automatic. So not sure, what they're talking about. Thank you so much for your help. Got approved for survivor benefits and got back pay. Thank you. And Chris in the Las Vegas office. Oh, wonder which Chris that is. It's there's one Chris, she's retired. So yeah, I know everybody in the Las Vegas office because I hired most of the people in the Las Vegas office. So they treated you well. Okay, all right, good deal. Awesome. I trained my employees well. Shout out to William with Chapter. Signed up for Medicare yesterday. Beverly, awesome. Good deal. All right. So yeah, Chapter, they provide free help. If you're right now, it's just the regular old season. The open enrollment period ended March 31st. But if you have a Medicare supplement plan, you can check a Medicare supplement plan any day of the year, 365 days of the year. Medicare supplement plan, you can check to see if there's a cheaper one out there, see if you can get into switch from a G to an N or an N or G or whatever the case may be. You might have to go through health underwriting depending on your state. For Medicare Advantage plans, if you're moving, then you definitely need to change your Medicare Advantage plan or your prescription drug plan. If you've recently lost Medicaid, you need to change your Medicare Advantage plan. If you've recently obtained Medicaid, you need to change your Medicare Advantage plan. If you're new to Medicare, 65 years old, or you're just now signing up for Part B, then you need to check out your options. And as I always say, check out Medicare supplement plans first, a plan N and G. So when you call Chapter or whoever you talk to, you say, hey, I'm starting Part B, Part A and Part B soon. Tell me about Medicare supplement plans. What's the difference between N and G? And then what's the difference between Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage? And if a Medicare supplement is not for you, then it's not for you. Then you just go ahead and Medicare Advantage is far better than, not having anything. So I'm in California. I never received my windfall. I worked for the county for 6 years that they didn't count. Do I just have to call them? Yeah, if your benefits were WEPs, that means they were recalculated based on your non-covered pension. So however much your non-covered pension is, that's what they would offset your monthly benefits from Social Security. So they say that they're doing a bunch of those calculations and people are getting their back pay to January 2024. And they said they're doing those now, and a lot of those are going to be done in April. So on the official website, it says, if you don't receive it by the end of April, then contact us. So I would probably wait. Denise, has anyone reported having to re-verify themselves in the Social Security portal, full online ID process? I was prompted to this week. My previous 15 months, no issues. Thank you, Dr. Edward. Appreciate it. I haven't heard that. I know people that, set up an account, up until a couple of years ago, had to go there and redo everything. But if you already did that 15 months ago, maybe they, what if you don't use it, then your password and everything expires. So maybe you have to update your password or something. So thank you for letting me know. I'll keep an eye on that. John, I had a $30,000 overpayment. I've been paying $100 a month since 2010. Now I'm told I may have my checks held until the overpayment is paid in full. Help. No, if you made some type of arrangements, they're not supposed to be changing it like that. If you've already made those arrangements for new people, then there might be 100% withholding unless you do the right thing. But for you, you've already negotiated $100 a month. So yeah. Did you receive a letter, or you were just heard something, trying to rein myself in here, some individual on social media talking about this? Yeah, so don't believe that. If you actually receive a decision letter from Social Security that says, hey, we are backing out on our agreed upon $100 a month, and from now on, you're going to have to pay, everything. If you didn't receive that, then no, you're good. If you did, then you reach out to Social Security and say, no. Remember, you can renegotiate at pretty much any time. So if $100 is, if it turns out, you are doing the $100, you can renegotiate under the new policies that started once, Anderson Cooper did that 60 minutes expose on overpayments. They changed it to where you could do it up to 60 months as of right now. Hopefully they don't change this, but you can renegotiate it and do a payment plan, and the payment plan can be up to 60 months. So maybe, based on how much you have left over, maybe 60 months might be better for you now, or just stay with $100. So yeah, definitely do your calculations. TT, Dr. Ed, just wanted to know that we greatly appreciate your time and your kindness to help us understand this complex topic. You're welcome. You're welcome. And I got some super good news. I'm working on my new website, and I would argue it's going to be the best Social Security way. It's going to be better than SSA.gov. And it's going to have so many resources and calculators and stuff like that. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to probably, hopefully within the next week, we'll have it done, and then I'll put it out here, and y'all can be my testers and go through there and see if you have any recommendations. So hopefully within the next week or so, we'll get that up, and it's pretty awesome if you ask me. So Nona became a member. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe and then also become a kind of a paying member, a couple of bucks a month or so if you want. So yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, this is a two-man operation. This is me and my son that are doing this. Obviously, we know sponsors or chapter, but yeah, for everything else, it's me and my son. Dr. Ed, thank you for your advice. Also for chapter. Great, perfect. I'm glad they were able to help you out. Will SSA approve a DIB, disabled individual benefits, if the medical provider documents 75% disability on the application, probably? Yeah, I mean, it really depends on, if that's your primary doctor, and if 75, if Social Security, the medical people think that is preventing you from working, because that's what it's all about. for disability, your disability has to last 12 months or longer or end in death, and it has to prevent you from being able to work. So always include everything on there. So you have a disability, and he says it's 75%, whatever the case may be, and then he gives you some type of medications. And because you're taking those medications, it would be 100%, but now it's only 75% because of the medications, you have to go to the bathroom 20 times a day. And who's going to hire you if you're in the bathroom all day long, or if you fall asleep all day long because of the medication or whatever the case may be? So, Social Security is supposed to look at the totality of the disability to see if it's preventing you from work. And it's not about preventing you from finding a job. That's not what it's about. Anybody can get a job nowadays. Anybody. Whether you keep that job for more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes or a day or a month, that's the issue, right? Based on your disability, anybody can get a job. You can do online and all this kind of stuff, but anybody, unless you're in a coma, anybody can do a job, can work. But can you keep it for more than 5 minutes or an hour or a day or something like that? That's the issue. That is the issue. So the COBOL engineers have been let go. So now stupid Elon, who does not have a clue how the Social Security system ever works, will mess it up for sure. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of people that are, tech type people from, that era, the 70s. And they said, you can't change a noun into a verb. And so they kind of dumbed it down for me, which I appreciate. And yeah, I guess unless it's a gerund, but anyway, a verb into a noun. Anyway, so yeah, they said, yeah, you just can't do this. And they don't realize they're just looking at the, which is called the PCOM and, the basic COBOL system. But as I mentioned, there's hundreds of different applications that go on top of that, yeah, they just don't understand how difficult it is. So, let's see. We have not seen anything yet. Just wait another few months. Okay, let's see. There shouldn't be any overpayments as needs to be updated computers. Yeah, a lot of overpayments are caused by, Doge and Elon Musk looking for fraud, waste, and abuse. Awesome. But they're looking for it in the wrong way. They are looking for, one thing that they can, put on their wall of receipts that shows, hey, we just saved Social Security $10 billion by, finding this. Yeah, that it ain't out there. Social Security fraud, waste, and abuse are individuals, are American people individuals working while they're receiving disability benefits, working too much while they're receiving reduced retirement or survivor benefits, stuff like that. There are one-on-one, kind of individual cases. And how does Social Security catch that fraud, waste, and abuse? They have employees throughout the country that get tips on that, see, alerts that this person is earning whatever, and then they send out the paperwork, and then the paperwork comes back, and they use that to say, hey, you said this, and so we're going to cut off your disability, we're going to, give you this overpayment, and that's how fraud, waste, and abuse is found at Social Security. It's on a one-on-one basis, and you need employees to do that, and now they're letting go all the employees, so yeah, good luck with finding the fraud, waste, and abuse when you don't have people to find the fraud, waste, and abuse. So strange times. Now, Larry, we're getting married soon. Well, congratulations. How do we navigate the changes, both on Social Security retirement? Thank you for all your hard work and that of your son, too. You're welcome, and he welcomes you, too. He's shy, so he's not coming. I don't think he's ever coming on. You might be, one of you might be entitled to spouse benefits. Sometimes you have to be married 1 year, but it really depends if one was receiving survivor benefits or whatever like that. It's kind of complicated. So if you get remarried, and both of you are on Social Security benefits, I would contact Social Security and see if one or the other are entitled to any other, spouse benefits. And if they say, oh, in your particular case, you had to be married 1 year, or whatever the case may be, then at least and then how much possibly you're going to get, and if one of you will get anything, and you'll put it on your calendar and says, okay, I will call you in 9 months to schedule an appointment. Other than that, if you're getting married, one of you both have Medicare. If you're changing your addresses, moving in together, make sure you contact Social Security, update your addresses. If one of you had a Medicare plan, you might need to change it to your new address. And if it's a Medicare Advantage, then you will have to get a new plan, because Medicare Advantage plan, unless you're married someone that lives next door, across the street, or next block over, then if anybody moves, most of the times Medicare Advantage plans are no longer applicable. They are geographic, tied to a particular area. So you can reach out to chapter and they can tell you. And I've had people that they had Medicare Advantage plans and they were on this side of the block and they moved to that side of the block, and because that was the dividing line, they had to change their Medicare Advantage plan. Because so it really depends. Does your spouse have to have claimed Social Security for a widow to claim? We want to wait for him to claim, but he's a few years older than me. Afraid of chancing it, though it's still a few years away. Okay, does your spouse have to claim Social Security for a widow to claim? For a widow to claim, does your spouse have to? Well, okay, we're talking about a spouse waiting to file for Social Security, so their widow. So that I don't think that's possible, because that would infer that you're still alive, which can't get a widow spouse. Okay, let me see what we're asking here. All right, so since it sounds like you're still married, and because you're still married, that's when the deemed filing thing applies. So if you're still married, and you apply for benefits on your own record, if your spouse is receiving benefits, then you have to file a spouse claim if you're eligible for those benefits. It's different for widows, the surviving spouse benefits. You don't have to file for the other benefit, like Elizabeth in our first part there. She didn't file for benefits on her own record because she wanted hers to increase. She filed for surviving spouse benefits. So, Regina, thank you for the $5. I appreciate it. My son and I thank you. Social Security has suspended my retirement benefits until I reprove I am a U.S. citizen. Can you help me? Yeah, no, you just have to prove you're a U.S. citizen, sounds like. Not sure. Is this a new claim, or have you been receiving benefits all of it for a while and they just caught something? Or because you don't, Elon Musk and Antonio Grassis, they know that non-citizens can receive retirement benefits and disability benefits, and Social Security numbers if you pay into the system. If you don't pay into the system, nobody can get it. So they're, starting all this, hatred against, immigrants into this country, even though Elon Musk is an immigrant and he had a Social Security number as a non-citizen, and Antonio Grassis is, you probably saw this on the news. Yeah, they're out there just telling incorrect information. But if you're a legally a green card holder, then you just provide your green card, and then Social Security, the Social Security employee will check to confirm it through the immigration, make sure it's the correct, make sure it's updated and correct and valid and all that kind of good stuff. But if you're a U.S. citizen, then if you were born in the United States, then Social Security, you were probably not born in the United States, because if you were born in the United States, then your Social Security, that database shows that you were born in the United States, and there's not an issue. So you were born outside the United States, 99.999% of the time, this is the case, in case there's something weird with the computer system, which I doubted in your case. So you just have to provide your passport or your certificate of naturalization. Hopefully you didn't lose your certificate of naturalization, because those things are crazy expensive. Is there still talk to shut down Social Security, or is that discussion gone now? The acting commissioner of Social Security, a Doge guy, he threatened to shut it down. And then he slept on it, and he woke up and he kind of had a temper tantrum. The judge said, don't have a temper tantrum, basically. And, so he backtracked on that. But the computer system, if they mess up the computer system, then hopefully they don't, fingers crossed. But what a lot of people don't realize, and your local office, your local office is probably open, and hopefully they don't close any more offices, particularly customer service type offices at Social Security called field offices. But a lot of people don't realize that even if your office is open, it might not be open for you, because if you need help with something, Social Security offices are broken up into different categories, different programs. When I worked at Social Security, before I became the manager of my office, I was a Title II CS, Title II claim specialist. And that's people that help you with retirement benefits, survivor benefits, Medicare, Social Security disability insurance. And then another group of people in that office helps people with SSI. That's the welfare-based program, supplemental security income. And they really can't do the other ones because they're so specialized. So your office might be open, and you go in there, and all of the people that can help you with your particular program, your particular issue, they're not there anymore. They were all, unceremoniously vacated from the premises. So even if your office is not open, even if it's open, it might not be open. So that's going to be an unfortunate part a lot of people are missing. Lee, I'm getting my first SSDI and survivor benefits payments May 3rd. I have different direct deposit account for each benefit. Is this okay? Yeah, it should be okay. So Lee, perfect example. Thank you, Lee. So Lee was smart, and he or she realized that you can receive disability benefits and other benefits, spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, survivor benefits, and your Medicare does not stop. So people will say, well, of course, people will go out and get other benefits if they're, eligible for more benefits. That's duh. No, because people think if they go get survivor benefits, then that means that's going to kick them off disability. And, they're 60 years old, and because they're kicked off disability, they're going to lose their Medicare for 5 years, and they're not going to be able to get Medicare until they're 65. So that's why a lot of people out there who are walking around on disability have an extra $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 available to them, but they don't want to get it because they're scared of losing their Medicare. And Lee can tell you that's not the fact. You can get disability and continue your Medicare, and on top of that, you can get the survivor benefits. Again, one offsets the other. But yes, two bank account, because you're getting benefits from two accounts. You're duly entitled. And this is another thing that Doge and Elon Musk and them don't understand. They're saying, hey, we need to go after people that are getting, two checks. So, Lee, that's you. They don't understand that people get two different benefits off two different records. You can get a benefit from your own record, and then if you're divorced spouse or surviving spouse, you get benefits from another record. And so hopefully they don't do anything dumb like mess up that second check. So David Chapter was great. He helped us get a 4 times denied advantage plan. Thanks, David Chapter. All right, awesome. Appreciate it. Yeah, Chapter is actually, they're going to be closed this coming Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday after all of the craziness of the annual enrollment period, October, November, December, and then the open enrollment period, January, February, March. They are doing like a 3-day training thing with all of their people. So if you reach out to Chapter in the next 2 or 3 or 4 days, just leave a message, or just, wait until they come back. So, male Chris in Vegas, he said you trained him. Yes, I did. So that's why he was awesome. No, we had, my office was awesome. Yeah, we won many, many awards. I went throughout the country and taught people about customer service and how to reduce customer wait times and all that kind of stuff. But all of the innovations we came up with, unfortunately, you can't do it without people. So if the dollar collapses, the treasury bonds the Social Security fund is invested in will be worthless. Not about worthless. They just won't get. That's interest comes in every year. You're getting the Social Security Trust Fund in your check every month. So that's another thing politicians use to trick us. And they said, they say, well, Social Security will be all fine as good as soon as we find that money. They come out their magnifying glass and their, Inspector Clouseau, and they say, well, I'm looking for that missing $2.6 trillion. And they know it's there, but they use that as a trick to, and you're like, okay, all right, boss, go find that money. And so I guess I'll leave you alone. And they're a politician, haha, sucker. Now, Social Security account wants to take you through an identification process, picture in front of a back and driver's license, facial pic, verify phone numbers. Yes, I think that's a great system. Yeah, I think it's a pain in the butt, but it protects you to make sure nobody gets in there and starts messing around with your stuff. So, yes, I think that's a great system. But yeah, it is a pain in the butt. Let's see. I'm getting my first SS. Oh, okay, already answered that one. When an overpayment is paid back in full, will Social Security restart automatically, or must one reapply? If it really depends. Most of the time, if you're entitled to those benefits and they're just taking that money out of your check, then that means there's a check there. If they're not taking money out of the check and you're writing a check every month for, to pay the overpayment, that means you're not in pay status. So if they are actually taking out of your check every month, that means there's a check there to be taken out of. So it'll restart automatically. So once the overpayment is cleared off, then your check will be, you just deposit it. So, but given the fact that staffing is so low, maybe reach out to them after a few weeks and say, hey, by the way, I finished paying my overpayment last month, and I'm supposed to get a check yesterday, and I kind of need that money. So you might have to reach out to them and kind of poke them a little bit. I called Social Security yesterday to try to make an appointment for my local office. You have to call the main number, no local number. I hung up after 3.5 hours. Technically, you can call any office. So you can call the 800 number and schedule an appointment. But technically, you're supposed to be able to call any office in the country and set up an appointment. So, but whoever picked up the phone at that time, unfortunately, didn't want to do it. Unfortunately, yeah. So when you actually go into the, hopefully get, if you still remember that person's name or anything that you were on hold and then they told you no, and then when you do schedule an appointment and you actually get in there, please tell the supervisor, says, hey, I had to be on the phone for another 3 hours because that person, Bob, wouldn't let me, didn't do the right thing. So, and that way they can, address that. Miracle Hands. Now that Musk has gone from Doge, what does that mean to we seniors on SS and SSI? Is there still any talk to shut down the whole Social Security, or is that off the table? The Doge is still in charge, whether Elon Musk is in there, but Doge and are still in there. Chapter is for Medicare. That is correct. Yeah. So Chapter does Medicare supplements, the plan N, G, F, whatever, high deductible supplement plans. They do prescription drug plans, the Part D, and they do Medicare Advantage plans. So that's what they help with. They don't do dental insurance and vision insurance. Me and Chapter are not really big on dental insurance. If you want Medicare, a lot of Medicare Advantage plans have dental, benefits in them, a certain amount of dental benefits depending on your plan. But in terms of dental insurance, if you have a dentist you like, go to that dentist and say, hey, do I need insurance? If I do, which one do you use? Or is it just cheaper to pay cash? And so sorry to all those people out there trying to sell dental insurance, but yeah, I think it's a waste of money. Sometimes it's not. If you need a lot of work done, then yeah. But okay, I already answered Lee's there. Already answered that one. People are asking the same question a few times. So let's see. Be nice. No one should ignore anyone. We're all equal, trying to help each other no matter what. Yes, and that's one of the things I'm going to put on my new website is some type of local resources. So I'm setting up a thing where you can type in your zip code, and it'll tell you if there's any type of local resources. And then I've also going to put in there, if you know of, if you type it in and it comes up, you're living in Topeka, Kansas, and it tells you about, food banks or this resource or something like that. And if you know of another resource, then I'm going to have a little thing where you can plug it in there and then make a resource for other people in your area. So that's the great thing about our community here is everybody's trying to help each other out. So you guys are awesome like that. Sterling, how can current earners and retirees save their earnings records in case the upcoming computer overhaul causes all the records to be lost? Maybe a screenshot of your statement from online. You can actually download it as a PDF. So if you go to My Social Security and, it's basically the old statement they used to send out like once a year or so. Now they only do it, every now and then after you're 60. But yeah, you just download the PDF, and that has everything on there. It has all your earnings record. The new earnings, the new Social Security statement, sometimes they abbreviate your earnings for the early years, but there's a button on there at the bottom where you can push it where it expands out all those years. So basically, sometimes it says, oh, from 1970 to 1980, you made this much. And you're like, well, I want to know how much I made in 71, 72, 73. And at the bottom of it, if it's still there, you can press it and then it'll expand out those years and then print that off as well. So, and then you keep that in a safe spot. So, all right, we are getting close to an hour here. So let's see, is EM really gone? I saw that Doge was given a $500 million beautiful building. Oh, wow. EM. Oh, I thought of emergency message there, but you're talking Elon Musk. Yeah, interesting. So, all right, let me see what other kind of questions flying through here. The library has online services available, so yes, you should go there. A librarian will be able to help you, state information, online help. Yes, Sky Tech Bits. Yes, absolutely. And I did a video where I go over like 50 different programs that, if you're struggling, if you know people out there that are having a hard time, yeah, I've got a few videos that I've done. It's called Living on Social Security Alone. And one of those, number 37, I forget which number it is, it's some libraries throughout the country also have little pocket Wi-Fis that they provide, or kind of movie type. A lot of them do movies and stuff like that, so you don't have to rent movies and stuff. But yeah, go to your local library, and it's great. The more people that go to your local library, and get a library card, that helps the library, because the more people that get library cards, the more people that are members of that library, the more funding those libraries get, and then the more money they will get. So that's a beautiful thing, and that will help everybody out. So, okay, I already answered that one. Let's see here. Got a lot of repeats. I was born in West Germany to 2 U.S. citizens and showed Social Security, my CRBA, when I got my card 50 years ago. Oh, okay. So yeah, so you were a U.S. citizen born overseas. So you're 100% a U.S. citizen because you were, your parents were citizens. So when you got your card 50 years ago, so yeah, you unfortunately probably have to do it again. So if you have your passport or something like that, and so you're not naturalized because you were a U.S. citizen born abroad. But sometimes, if your parents didn't do everything correctly when you came back into the States, some people have a problem with that. So I would just reach out to Social Security, and they'll tell you exactly what you need. If you don't have if you have a passport, it's easy, piece of cake. But if you don't, they'll tell you exactly what you need. I was not aware I could get survivor benefits until your show. Also, what is the penalty for having an HSA account last year if I do receive retroactive survivor benefits? Okay, so the HSA account, that has no relevance to your survivor benefits. HSA, the health savings account, I think what you're talking about. The only thing that affects is when you sign up for Medicare Part A. So if you have a health savings account and you're about to sign up for Medicare Part A, you have to stop contributing to that HSA 6 months before your Part A starts. and it's not Social Security. So Social Security, unfortunately, employees, something, if you want to sign up for Part A, they sign you up for Part A, and a lot of times they don't tell you about an HSA or stuff like that because that's an IRS issue. The reason there's an issue is because when you give to an HSA, you're getting some type of tax benefits. And then when you sign up for Part A, you can no longer contribute. So if you continue to contribute while you're receiving Part A, then the IRS says, yeah, no, you're not going to get those tax benefits. And I've seen it where people, don't realize that, and they've been doing it for 6 months, and they get a bill from the IRS and says, hey, we gave you, $12.50 of, tax benefits. We want our $12.50 back. So yeah, there's that. But in terms of survivor benefits, HSA has no relevance whatsoever. So, all right. Let's see. Oh, thank you for the donation. Thanks for your answers to FEHM 2809 stuff. Oh, you're welcome. Let's see. Your statement, anyone can work, is true, but take the example of a 68-year-old man or woman applying for work. Who is going to hire that 68-year-old person? Yes, that's definitely an issue. Yeah. Can work, will they be to get hired? Yeah, that's definitely an issue. Can they keep that job if they're disabled? That's a whole different issue. But yeah, it's, file in line and all that kind of stuff. Whether there's jobs out there, that's, so. But the reason I say it like that is people, say, they should file for disability because they can't keep a job, but they don't file for disability because they can get a job. And so that's kind of why I say it like that. I kind of, overemphasize a little bit by saying it that way. But I just want to reach out to those people that says, yeah, I really need disability. I paid into the disability system. I earned that right to get that money if I'm truly unable to work. But I can get a job, so I'm not going to file. No. It's not about whether you can get a job. It's whether you can keep it, whether your disability is preventing you from keeping that job or working over there, what's called the substantial gainful activity. So that's kind of why I put it that way. It's probably kind of a little bit over the hill the way I say it, but that's my intention. So, all right, we're over an hour. I do appreciate everybody, and please share, subscribe, like, all that kind of good stuff. And I'm going to go back and work on the website. It's going to be awesome. So I'll put it out there hopefully in about a week or so, and y'all can play around with it.